It's official by the official City Hall clock. It's 1:30. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Rockdale Planning and Zoning meeting of Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. Could I have a roll call, please?
All right. Chair Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Davidson.
Present.
Commissioner Miles.
Here.
Commissioner Ratliff.
Here.
Commissioner Barcheck.
Here.
And our council liaison, Starnes.
Here. We have a quorum. Do we have any citizens' communications? Mario Cazares, if you'll go to the podium and speak to us, please.
Board members, Mr. President, I'm here today to speak on behalf of Shannon Cornegie. She is my name is Marcus Sars. I'm the executive director of Rockdale Housing Authority. Shannon is a board member and has been a board member for almost a year. I'm here to speak on her behalf. The reason I'm here is Shannon makes just about every board meeting possible at the Rockdale Housing Authority. She puts her heart, her time in it, not only at meetings, but she does extra work for the board. I see her in the community very active. So today I'm here hoping this planning and zoning will add Shannon to the board. If anyone has any questions that you have for me, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Unfortunately, this is citizens' communications. We can't address you. We can only hear what
Okay.
you're
Thank
giving
you.
us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that completes citizens' communications. Then we have a presentation from Doug Williams at the last city council meeting. Well, let me start like this. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. At the last city council meeting, we discussed appointments. I also presented the yearly review, and I tried it in a new format where I presented it as a number of replats, and we tried it on a data presentation that we can resolve into finally maybe having a pie chart or something like that to present to city council. But I went back and reviewed everything that we did, the number of workshops that we have, and of course, I was going to the farm to get the paperwork out of my car, and then I got to watching the lift over at the 1895 building, and so I don't have that with me, but I can get it to you if you request it. Then I presented the replat in the ETJ, the one that had the flag lots. City council denied that. Just FYI. They did not like the flag lots. They would rather have had a road in there, and they did not like the fire hydrant, fire suppression water. They wanted more than what we had even suggested. They were more in line with what the fire marshal had suggested. And so, under the appointment, they kind of kicked it back to me. We had two candidates available, and they said, what does the P&Z Commission think? And I said this, I hope I understood what y'all were telling me. I said, you can go ahead and appoint somebody, we're okay with that, but we were really wanting a little bit more input in how this system resolves. And it jump-started what we have here today. We only had a list with, people had been on the list for 2 years, candidates, and we really needed a fresher approach than what we had going. And so you're gonna get into some business here today. It's because of me, I guess, because y'all wanted more input on. If I understood y'all right, it was kind of awkward just to sit here and be told this is the person going to sit on your board without any input from us.
Exactly.
So That's what that's all about. We'll get to that in a minute. Action items. Review and approve the minutes from the meeting on December the 5th, 2023. That should be your next pages in your communication.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as they are written. All those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, and passed that we accept the minutes. Received the monthly code enforcement report. Hi, Ben.
Good afternoon. So we are going to look at the December code report. If you compare the numbers from November to December, not much has happened. We've had some staff coverage issues over the month of December, so I've had to be present in office a lot more than usual. But you will see the numbers go up in January most likely. We are training a new staff member to help out in code enforcement. So it'll take time off of my hands so that more violations can be resolved.
Are you doing our tire store inspections, or who is doing that?
It's me and Spencer Schneider, who we hired out currently.
Okay.
And we've done a couple, and then we're waiting on attorney draft language for those who have not complied. It's going to be the same with the 8-liners. I've received a couple questions about what the city's doing about 8-liners. We're also waiting on attorney drafted language.
How many of the stores that we have not?
For tires,
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I think we have about 4 or 5
Oh, wow.
that aren't complied currently.
So half?
About half. I think it is right at 50% have complied.
Are fines being handed out yet or not?
Once attorney language is drafted, then they'll go to court, and then that's when fines start.
Okay.
What do you need from us, Ben?
Really nothing. If you guys can get the word out on the parking, no longer parking in grass, we're about to be at 6 months, and we're going to start advertising that's been passed because council asked for a year's worth of education. So if you see people, just start getting the word out, get some feedback, and if they want to have any questions, come direct them my way.
What's the game plan on that? Are we putting it on the radio, the newspaper? What's the
We
game
will.
plan?
It's going to be our normal social media platforms, newspaper, radio.
So when you were saying, going back to the tires, 4 of the 8 aren't in compliance. Have those, all 8 came down and filled out all the paperwork and paid their fee?
So most, the ones that have complied across the board, they paid their fee, got their inspection, got the card that's posted in the window. The others, it varies. Some have come down, scheduled inspection, didn't pass their inspection, so they need to remedy whatever the issue was. Some just completely ignored it.
Okay.
And what's the process timing, with the judge getting back and all that before the fines go out? It's up to the judge on?
It is judge discretion. When I put something in their court, there's an automatic fine that's associated with it, and then if they comply, they'll usually waive the fee. If they don't comply, then it's up to the attorney and then the defendant on how they're going to work that out. I know recently he's given, instead of a fine, he's done community service. Thank you. That's an option that someone just got. So
About how long that takes?
for the court process to happen, it's a while. Usually when I put somebody in their court, it takes about 2 to 3 months until they
Wasn't that
appear.
discussion at city council also to shorten that cycle some kind of way? But right now, we have a new judge learning.
Yeah, and it's not, right now, there's not necessarily a way to shorten it just because they only schedule a court date once a month because that's what we're paying our attorney. If I'm speaking out of touch, maybe the judge can correct me in another meeting, but I believe it's once a month because when I could send somebody in, they'll get a later, the next month they'll appear. So if I put somebody in January, they'll be scheduled for the February court appearance date. And then depending on their plea, you get into different dates after that.
Do you think we need a workshop with the judge?
If you want to. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think so. Just because you get into attorney fees, the more you ask your attorney to show up, the more money you're gonna cost city. So I don't know what their budget looks like. They may have it that way because that's all they can
I
afford. I
hope
don't
it's
know.
bigger than ours.
You mentioned 8-liners a while ago. How are we doing on that?
So the attorneys want to draft something for that because there's a lot of ways we can tackle it. So I've reached out to Michelle Lemkuhl, who's our city attorney, and she's attached another law office, the Knight Law Firm. It's Barbara Bulwer Wells is who we also use, and they're working together on drafting language. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but I got that response a week ago.
He's drafting a what?
They're drafting language to put somebody into court.
But are we still enforcing it as now, or are we,
That's how we're enforcing it. We're waiting. I mean, that is the next step in the enforcement. When somebody doesn't comply, then they go to court. So when you put somebody in court, you have to have what's called a court complaint with it. And there's language attached to that on what they're violating. And so we just want to make sure that language is strong enough to hold up in court if it goes to a trial.
But that's on the side of the zoning. The chief can enforce it on a
Yeah.
criminal side right now.
okay, so
Yeah.
what we talked about the other day is still enforceable?
How many known do we have up and running still?
A lot.
Really?
I think I'm pretty sure it's double digits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Took the wind out of my sail when you said that. Yeah. The only response I have is really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ben? Thank you for your report, sir. Anything, you don't need anything from us?
No, I mean, just education. If you guys can get the word out on the parking, and then if you have anybody that has code complaints, I haven't been getting a lot of calls lately, so I don't know if Rockdale's just that much cleaner all of a sudden, or if people are starting to get shy calling me, but if they call, it goes on a list, and I look at it the next week.
And to reiterate, you probably said this, but your fiscal data comes from a year ending November?
So the fiscal year starts in October. So on your second page of that code report, I've given you the numbers since City Hall's taking it back over. That's why it says 21 to 24, because we are in the 24 fiscal now.
On the ways that we're educating citizens, not everybody's gonna look at everything we're gonna put it on. What about a mail out? I mean, I know that does like a flyer type deal. I mean, is that, it could be more than just the one thing that we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, we could look into the cost of that, and then the way we would do it, we'd go off of water accounts.
Yeah.
How we'd send out the water bills, who would be sending it to. So I don't know.
I wonder if there's any way we could attach it to the water bill to where it wouldn't be, no.
It would be,
Readable.
if we did, it would be a separate sheet, because the way the
Okay.
water bills are now, there's no room on them, and it's,
But they're postcards.
right.
Okay.
But we can certainly do it. That's
When
fine.
you-
For now.
What is,
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah.
Is there another one that goes into effect as well? Isn't there another one?
That's the only one they've asked for the year education period. I mean, we've had several ordinances come that are,
I was thinking there
Recent.
was another one that we give, I don't know, 6 months or whatever it was.
not unless I'm blanking on it.
Okay.
Because the tree limb deal was already in the system.
That's already in there.
So, to clarify, what all is not allowed to park in the grass? Nothing at all?
Nothing.
Okay.
Unless
No
it's on a
trailers?
covered surface, which is
Unless what?
defined. On a covered surface, which is defined.
Okay.
Because that was what we had passed in the ordinance is, y'all did the grass pavers to add to the, what we consider improved surface.
Right.
And then the other part of the code is you can't park on an unimproved surface. So that's what you'd be looking at, boats, RVs, cars, trailers.
Just so I'm giving out the wrong information.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
What about lawnmowers? I noticed Charles had his lawnmower parked outside the other day.
Only enforced on Charles. I'll only go after Charles for that one.
Barbie cars?
RV cars.
Please tell me Charles isn't driving a lawnmower to work, please.
Only the one.
All right, any other questions about the code enforcement report? Any questions about the code enforcement report? Thank you. Action item C, consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to city council regarding a plat submitted by Rigoberto Zelaya for property located at 512 West Belton and 513 North Wilcox, Rockdale, Milam County, Texas, into lots 1A and 2A, and that is behind the code enforcement report. Take it away.
So this is a pretty straightforward replat. The neighbors had a building that encroached on the other neighbor's lot. And so they've sold a portion of the land to try to make up for that. So there are 3 variance requests on this plat. The first is gonna be the building on lot 2A that needs a 4-foot setback because it doesn't meet the 25-foot front setback that buildings are supposed to meet. And then the other 2 variance requests are gonna come for the accessory structures in the back. So the second variance request is actually not needed. It can come off the plat because the surveyor noted that it needed a 9-foot setback. But in our code, an accessory structure is only required to meet a 5-foot setback. So if you do the math on that, it actually meets the setback
Are
perfectly.
you referring to V3?
V2.
The parking shed?
V2
V2 is the building that would, but
is the one that does not need a variance request.
does not.
Now V3 needs the setback because currently they're asking for 8 foot, which means there's 1 foot of separation from the side property line to the beginning of that building. So instead of it being 8 foot, it just needs to be 4 foot because again, they're only required to meet a 5-foot setback.
Who owns these 2 lots? Same owner? No?
No, the neighbor, I don't know who the neighbor is, but Zelaya owns one of the lots and they purchased the other from the neighbor.
It's Lozano, Arnulfo Lozano.
Yes.
Say again?
Arnulfo Lozano is the other owner.
But both of them?
No,
Azalea, the left, and Lozana
is
on
the right, I believe so. And he's aware of it. They're all aware of this because he's the one that did the transaction with them. And the Mr. Zelaya is the one that came in to actually fill out the application. So that's why he's referred to in the agenda report.
All this to get the building on the right property and off
Correct.
theirs.
Correct, because it used to be on lot 1A, and so they've since purchased that portion, so it would be on his own lot.
So your recommendations are as written?
Correct.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the special use permit.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve. Those in favor, right hand. Motion made, seconded, and carries. Action item D, consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council on a special use permit. It's a request for a telecommunications tower at the Cornerstone subdivision. Well, hello, sir.
So I'm back. So this is a tower that they're requesting put up on the entrance of Cornerstone. And so it's gonna be 80 foot, and by our code, that doesn't meet code, so it's required to do a special use permit that's granted by city council. So it'd be the same, almost like a variance request that y'all have reviewed before, where you look at it and then see if you wanna get it granted, then you'll make the recommendation to city council and there'll be the final decision on that. On this, they've agreed to let us install repeaters on the tower to help with our water meter system that's going to the cloud, AMI. And then also with the police department, which will help their radio signals.
Free of charge.
I don't know if it's free. I'm not involved in on what that agreement's gonna look like, cause it's all been just verbal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Barbara, but I think it's just verbal now, so we'll get into the written aspect once if it's approved.
And excuse me, please correct me on that recommendation. That was for the next one. It was on the back page, but it was the approval of the plat subject to the following conditions on the variances. I read the wrong one on the special use permit.
Exactly where is this at in the subdivision?
So if you're
You
coming,
have, oh, you've got it up there?
yeah, that is the coordinates that they've given on where it would be installed. It's pretty much right on the corner of the beginning of the property for them, is where they're requesting that to be installed.
No guide wires on this pole? There's no 80 foot?
Charlie, can you dim the lights? I just wanna see the proximity to the houses.
It's right there.
Oh, okay,
Right
so,
behind the building, right behind the little warehouse, right?
yeah. That little warehouse, used to be Frito-Lay warehouse is down at the very bottom, that building there. Then that's what we called the main entrance at one point in time. So this is gonna be at the main entrance, not at the secondary entrance back there, right?
This is at the southern border,
Yeah, the main entrance is more north.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you actually had their property lines up there, it's right at the beginning of their property lines is where this is going.
And the yellow lines on the other side, what is that? Is it? Utilities, what I'm looking for, but where are the utilities?
No, it's not going to be that. I'm not sure what that is. That was just provided from the requester. I didn't really review that document. We were more just concerned of where they want to put it and then getting the application in.
So it's going right there near, by the pink line? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
So
that
it's not by the Frito-Lay building?
where you
No.
see that
No, no,
green
Frito-Lay goes down
square,
at the bottom.
that green square is where they're marking the tower is going to be.
What's throwing that off is that was done when they were dirt roads back then, when this overhead was taken. And now they have all the roads, curbings, and street signs in already. So, we gain having a place for repeaters, right? Give me the positives, give me the pros.
So that would be the positives, is getting our repeaters on those towers. It would save, I know the police department, significant money and problem solving to try to find other locations to put one. Talked to the chief about it, and that would be the perfect spot to communicate with the county, was his words.
But we don't know cost,
No.
or
No.
if there's any cost.
If there's a lease agreement, we don't know about it yet. I mean, they've given us permission.
Well,
But-
Can't we demand it, basically? I mean, if we're gonna allow it?
This is not a quid pro quo because it's private tower, private land. So it's not as if they're coming to us on our land, but we can actually condition it. We could really only condition it,
It's in the city now, right? It's in the
it's
city.
in the city limits, but we can't demand that they allow our stuff to go on there. They have already said yes, and the developer, who's the one that's paying to put it on, has said, yes, it's no problem for you to be out there. And I will find out by the city council if there's any cost to it. They have not indicated any cost to us.
So Fat Dumb Dougie says this is fully engineered freestanding tower?
Oh, absolutely fully engineered.
Okay, well, there's a discrepancy because it's saying 80-foot monopole on the application, but over here it's showing 120 foot on this one. Showing proposed 120-foot monopole, and then the application is showing 80 foot.
Cause I'm thinking monopole 120 foot is
Yeah.
etchy at best. 80 foot,
What sheet does it have the 120? I see
Right
the
here,
80.
this one here. Showing proposed 120.
Yeah, but,
on the back side of what's on the back side of your sheet there?
yeah, I know, but it says that, but at the top, if you look at the elevation, it says 80 feet.
I know, so why is it showing 120 on the pole?
Maybe it's, well,
Is that what's going in the ground as well?
that's what I was wondering, if it's
I know.
really,
Well, it looks like there's a
40 foot?
substructure there, and then if they're talking about 80-foot pole off that substructure, maybe.
So what's the actual height gonna be? Is it gonna be 120 or is it gonna be 80?
Elevated, maybe it's above ground, eh?
Yeah.
Or is 120 counting all the antennas and lights and all that at the top of it as well?
No, the 80 should be the top of the actual pole. There should not be anything extending above that.
Sounds like we need to have someone ask that question.
Yeah,
Proposed
because again, here,
Oh, this one says elevate.
look, 120, showing ground clearance here, 120 all the way to there. Turn that page on the other side, and look, it's showing 120,
Oh, yeah.
actually 121.
Well, in your suggestions, if you so choose to approve it, I would make a note on that.
I mean, that's,
It is
So
only,
is it that we
40 feet's a lot of difference.
have to, how is I'm assuming there's gonna be an easement somewhere along this that's gonna be given, or? Do we know?
that's in that green belt area, right?
John, where are you seeing the 120? I'm missing.
Okay, look, this one here, all right, that page, look on the back. It is, at the very bottom, it shows 120 foot, and look at the very side scale, from top of the antenna to ground level is, they're showing 121, and drops down to the actual antenna, shows to be 108, I believe, if my eyeballs can see that.
My recommendation would be to approve it at 80 feet. Because that is what we were requested to do, and that is what their paperwork states, and I would put it in for 80 feet.
So if they want 120, they have to come back?
Yep.
We have a recommendation by staff that we approve it at 80 feet. Do I have a motion?
My question was on, the, easement. Is there an easement already, or does an easement have to be given, or?
The
There's an easement.
landowner would grant an easement to the tower company. And so I was looking at an easement agreement that they have in there. That's at the back of your documentation.
I see where it says proposed 5 foot wide power easement. Is that,
I've got a tower site lease agreement and access easement, which is,
that's access?
well, it's the site and the access.
In one place, they mention it's a 12-foot width.
And we got a 20 by 20 tower area.
And it also
Right here
says
it says
proposed,
5 foot.
then it says 15.
Barbara, how do you protect yourself for access, like if it is the PD needing service on a PD problem repeater? It's a general access,
The access to the tower is what gives them access to it. Anyone who can hang an ornament off of the tree is allowed access to it, subject to whatever Next Link allows, unless they're the guys that have to go up there to do it. Because this is gonna be their tower. It's going to provide additional services to our community in terms of what people can get. And I don't know what kind of broadband they do, but this is done to improve the services for this area, and the developer is setting it up. So,
let me err on a side of caution here. Should we contact them to make sure that they are really requesting 80-foot tower?
it should be an 80-foot tower. That is what they have been talking to me about. That is what they've asked me for, so that's what I would approve.
So it's,
Yeah.
They've expressed 80 foot multiple times.
But that's not what their paperwork shows.
Well, some of it does, some of
Some of
it
it
don't.
don't.
Yeah, some of it
Yeah.
doesn't.
And then the
And it shows
easements have got,
15 feet easement on the drawing.
and then it shows 5-foot easement, and then it shows a 12-foot easement.
what is staff recommendation on easement?
We don't, it's private property, it's not our issue. So it'd be, if it was our property, then we would have a say in it. It's their property, it's however they wanna do it.
Yes, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve as written, the 80-foot tower.
Motion to approve the 80-foot request.
So we're
No
making a
stipulations.
recommendation.
Well, 80 feet is what it, you know, get clarification on the paperwork, on the drawing, because one of them says 120, the other one says 80, but if we recommend the 80 feet, that's basically what we're agreeing to, 80 feet, nothing else.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion for 80-foot tower approval, and it's seconded. All those in favor, right hand. Motion for 80-foot tower, made, seconded, and passed. And I've done covered myself over paperwork over here, thumbing through. All right, here we go. E, consider to take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council regarding a planning and zoning board appointment. Barbara,
Yes, sir.
did you want to take this one and run?
I can absolutely help with that. So this is on the way that the council had wanted the planning commission to have more say in who sits on the board with you. So what we'd like to ask is if you want to take them in any particular order, that, we cannot go into executive session on it because it's not an employee. But if who all is here, I know you're here, you're here, you're here, who do you want to start with?
And, well, I have a comment. I
I
think
do
we should
too.
do it one at a time, of course.
That's right, that's what I was gonna do.
Move the others.
And if we can ask the remainder to go into the conference room, just to make it
Then you may
more
want to turn the
convenient
lights
for
on in
people,
there.
Well,
if y'all are comfortable with that. Okay,
before we go any further than that, we need to, we've talked about this, and I think we've kicked this can a lot, and I'm still kicking it. We have nothing to go by as far as requirements other than what these few little checklists. Either you live here, one's saying Janice Town is supposed to be a resident or a business owner. We need a lot of clarity on what the requirements from the city council are. And secondly, we need some type of scoring card versus we're just gonna pick one out of a hat. I mean, there needs to be, if we're gonna make this as fair as possible, we need to come up with some type of, I don't know what you wanna call it, other than a checklist or a scorecard, to where the person that is picked on their merits, not because of,
Like a matrix.
there you go.
so you want points associated with each of those questions?
Where it's a fair
Okay.
pick, not,
And do we know the requirements? I mean,
That's-
Yes, we do.
we were questioning that earlier.
what are they?
We don't know.
They have to reside within the city to be on the planning commission. They have to be a registered voter in
If they're
ours.
renting, they can be a registered voter. So if they're renting a house, but they don't own it, as long as they're a registered voter for 6 months.
I couldn't hear what Shanna's
All right,
saying.
so you have to reside within the city limits.
Okay.
Yes. And if you don't own property, as long as you're a registered voter, like if you're renting at a house, as long as you're registered for 6 months for voting, that counts.
So that's a stop and go question. If you do not live within the city of Rockdale, within its corporate limits, our code will not allow you to serve on the planning commission.
The R code, tell me.
Our
Our
city
code, our
the
code.
Our code will not allow you to serve. So then the other one, so that's just a yes or no. Then
You say the city,
Is it the
outside of the
ETJ?
town, is it ETJ or what? Like
no, it's actually within our corporate boundaries. It has to be within the city limits.
You got 2 spots open now.
3.
Y'all are all out?
Yeah.
I was asked because of owning a business in the city limits.
We always told if you owned a business in the city,
Yes.
you was still good too.
For P&Z?
That's why I was asked, but that's been a year.
Let me,
so
can you
I don't know.
pull, Ben, can you get my code off of my desk, the green code? Because I believe it's a charter provision, so we can check real quick. So we may end up having quite a few spots.
At least we have
I
some good
think
candidates.
I don't think I qualify either. I just moved to Buckholz.
You did not.
As soon as that requirement came up, I'm gone. Bye, see ya. I don't
We'll
want
find
to,
out.
I don't want to be the only person on the board, on the commission.
But I think what you're saying is, I think what John is saying, that we need time to set up the criteria.
You know, here's,
We're I know we keep pushing this down the road, but this is,
Critical.
I mean, I was appointed to this board years ago because of one person that asked me if I would be on this board. And yes, I live in town, and yes, I own a business, you know, but
I brought the cheat book. I'll get it for you.
I think that it needs to be more than just, it needs to be a democratic way that is fair to everybody, that gets a fair shake. Huh? Thank you, you know what I meant, but you know what I'm talking about. But John, not the other one.
Well, and I say now, we actually have candidates, but before
We didn't have any.
We didn't have.
Well,
you know,
everything-
that's a great problem to have right
Yes,
now. The only
exactly.
problem that I personally have is we've already kicked the can down the road. I think we may have lost an applicant behind our slow-moving lack of progress.
Okay.
But my real problem is, we're supposed to appoint, chairman and all that. If not in January, then in February. We're up against a timeline for,
But we'll be meeting in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
that's a workshop. I guess we can do it at a workshop, but, I don't know. I'm just saying, hey,
Okay.
who's it up to decide the requirements?
It's the code, and it's our charter, actually.
All right. And y'all, I'm gonna go on record right here in front of the camera and everybody here. It's a great problem to have an abundance
I know.
of volunteers. It's a headache to decide who to send down to recommendation, but it's great to have many to choose from.
Okay, I'm gonna read directly from our code, so
Okay.
it doesn't look as if you have to live here. There shall be established and maintained a planning and zoning commission, which shall consist of 7 citizens of the city who shall own real property within the city, or who must be qualified voters and have resided within the city for 6 months. So you can be a resident and a voter, or you own real property.
Please make a copy of that so we can make it available for every city
Yes,
councilman
I will
when
do
I
that.
go Monday.
A minimum of 2/3 of the members have to be citizens not directly or indirectly connected with real estate or land development. And then they're appointed by the council for 3-year terms.
Could you read that last one again?
Last one.
Yeah. Okay. A minimum of 2/3 of the members shall be citizens, which means 6. No, we've got 7, so 5. Not directly or indirectly connected with real estate or land development. The members of said commission shall be appointed by the council for 3 years.
How many people on this commission are involved in real estate or land development? Please raise your right hand.
Charles, you're not. No?
So we're dodged a bullet there then. We only have one member, which is all we were allowed.
Does that say of how many of the citizens, is it citizens or is it? is
Other
that-
membership.
Let's say, it say reside or own property, right, in the city limits?
The 2/3 of the commission or the board is supposed to be citizens? Is that meaning living in the city limits?
Or have
Or
an
how's,
address
right,
of 76567. I mean,
Yeah.
what is it?
how is that,
So we have 7 citizens of the city who shall own real property within the city, or who must be qualified voters and have resided within the city. So the way that this is written, if you're reading it, or interpreting it very precisely, it does not say that you have to live there if you own real property within the city. But if you live in the city and don't own real property, you have to be a qualified voter. And you have to have resided within the city for 6 months prior to your appointment.
A renter is,
So the ones that's already on lived in the city when they became on, so they're good,
Or have property,
right?
or have,
Or own
Or
property.
have property, or both.
Yeah.
so that's,
So you good, buddy?
Means you'll be here for another 3 years, bud.
I don't own property within the city.
But you lived here before you got put on.
well, let me ask that question. How many people reside within the city? How many commissioners reside within the city limits? And on,
Yeah, let's start that way. How many residents within the city do we have?
Residents or,
Who lives in the city?
okay.
5. Okay, who owns property within the city? We're gonna have an additional vacancy then. We will.
Yeah, I mean, I was all of the above whenever I was appointed.
Right, when you're appointed.
But I thought it
And so
said
then
if
the
you lived
council-
on there at least 6 months before you got appointed on. Didn't it say that? What did it say about the appointment? The 6
no,
months
if you
before?
don't own property, you, like a renter, you have to have lived here at least 6
Qualified
months.
voter,
Right.
lived in.
Yeah.
But is he grandfathered in? Is that?
There's no
really not-
grandfathering, so it would be up to the council as to, when is your term up?
20,
Next year,
Next year.
Yeah,
25.
next year.
yeah. Then they
Don't worry
can
about
make a
that next
decision at that point.
So now do I ask the candidates these same questions?
Yes, because that should be a stop and go question.
Should I do it in bulk or in mass, or should I do it individually?
I would do that in bulk. Because that would be a, do you qualify to even apply?
How many of the candidates, how many are here as a candidate? How many people? Raise your right hand. Okay. How many reside within the corporate city limits of Rockdale?
Okay.
How many people rent in the city limits and have been here 6 months and are a registered voter?
Wait a minute, you're saying that wrong.
No.
Oh, wait, say it again.
You have to be a registered voter, not owning property. You have to be a registered owner and have lived here 6 months, if I'm remembering what I heard.
But Shannon, you own property.
She owns.
I've lived here almost 9 years. I mean, outside of the city limits,
But
we
you own property
and
She
I'm a
owns-
voter.
Yeah.
inside the city limits.
We own property within the city limits, yes.
Yeah, you own real property. So it appears that all of your candidates
Are vetted.
are eligible to be considered.
Wow, it took a long road to get here, man.
okay.
We've never
But
had
this
to
is
deal
what
with it.
John's
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
I know.
Shannon, is there a problem with Shannon being in real estate and I'm in real estate? Are we at our limits?
I thought we
Can I
could have
comment on
5.
that?
We could
Yes,
have 5, I
please.
thought.
Yeah, we can have,
So I applied not as a realtor.
You have to go to the microphone.
Well,
Excuse me.
I'm pretty sure we're okay. It said, yeah.
So I applied not as a realtor, but as a business owner. We own real property here in town, and we own 2 or 3 businesses, plus my husband's business. I didn't apply as a realtor, but as a business owner.
But you are a realtor.
I am a realtor,
Okay, and
but
that's
majority
what
of
she's
my
trying to-
business is our businesses.
Yeah, it's not you, it's what we can
I
have
think
on
she's
the.
still okay, but when I look at the 2/3, we're still okay to have 2.
Yeah.
Two, right?
Yeah, we can have 2.
Leslie's more of a realtor than me. I'll just put it that way. I'm busier with other things. She's busier with real estate. Is that all?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've established borderlines for commissioners, we've established borderlines for candidates, and we have canvassed the candidates for eligibility. Am I right so far?
You are correct.
So at this point now, we start the interview?
You absolutely can. And then to Commissioner Williams' point of view, do you want to equally divide these points up? Do you want to have them weighted, or what would make sense to you?
We've got to come up with that. I think we're putting the cart before the horse today. Because we don't even have anything like that in front of us. that we've come up with.
What about, does the applicant have government experience? Does the applicant have planning experience? Does the applicant have development experience? So then you just put numbers to that. Typically, if you're gonna do that matrix,
Exactly, but I think a person that's been here 6 months versus all their life, all your life would carry more weight than 6 months.
okay, so you
I
wanna
mean-
have length of residency.
Weighted.
Okay,
I mean, everything has to be weighted how long have you been in business, you know? How much there's a lot of things besides just these 2 or 3 questions, if we wanna do it the right way. Now, if we wanna just,
Or what's your involvement in the community? How much are you
Exactly.
doing in the community?
Okay,
how many,
let me stop at this point.
Building the community.
We need to create a matrix, understood, I understand that. But we have candidates here, were eligible to, or available to interview. I would value their time and like to interview them, and then we can workshop the matrix and apply points. Somewhere's on your paper, you kind of make yourself footnotes on the interview phase of this. You can say, no, we don't want to do that, or yes, let's get rolling.
Let's go. We don't wanna waste their time, let 'em-
right, we can do that and then do the actual choosing later? Can we do it that way?
Yeah, you have till Monday.
Oh, okay.
I go before city council Monday, I gotta tell them something.
Well, we can do it over email or whatever too.
Well-
I mean, we can share.
Well, be aware of open meetings, because
Yeah,
this
that's
is a
a problem.
We
public
would have to do
decision,
the
so we have
matrix
to-
probably at the next workshop if I'm thinking about how this flows, but, which means I won't have a candidate ready for Mondays.
That could
Yeah,
be.
Not unless you wanna stay here till dark.
No.
Well,
Tell them you would
if-
have one by Monday?
actually, if you tell me what your criteria is, we can very quickly put that down, ask those questions, give you a ranking, and then you make the decision about what that ranking is.
My minimal requirements are what have already been spoken as far as,
Length of residency, what I have in addition to what Shannon pulled is length of residency and, community involvement. And if we add those, we've got now 1, 2, 3, 4.
y'all gonna make it so hard, I don't qualify now, I'm telling you, easy where you go.
I think the residency is kind of a iffy, I mean, because you could live here all your life and not been involved in anything, I mean, I mean, granted, I think you need to live, it says 6 months,
Yeah,
that's what criteria is.
I think it's also who has the time and willing to do the extra and want to be involved, you know?
Of course, that should be one of the
'Cause, I
questions.
mean, you could live here all your life, or you can live here barely, but you got really good credentials and you're good at what you do.
So you're saying community involvement, is that a category? Tell me what your,
that's
I
what
I think
he's,
so, I mean,
Not just community involvement, it's gotta be some sort of experience
Yeah.
with the city government.
so the questions that we have right now are, does the applicant have government experience? Does the applicant have planning experience? Does the applicant have development experience? And then do we want to do length of residency or cut that one off?
Oh, you mean the 6 months?
Probably should have to live
Oh, I
here.
think
live
we
here.
ought to leave that.
yeah, I think,
I mean, the code says 6 months, but
Okay.
do we want to say that once you've met your 6 months, we're not gonna,
I mean, because I mean, you may be the best candidate and only lived here 6 months, I mean, I don't know, but
okay?
what I'm saying is that, to me, I don't think it should, you know, heavy, anyway.
Okay. And then, has the applicant recently attended a city council or planning and zoning commission meeting?
yes, that's good.
And then, what is your community involvement and what is your time and willingness to be involved? Those are the questions that we have
Do
so
we
far.
dare poke at, are you employed or retired?
You can, if that matters to you.
It can on time. I'm just throwing that out there now. We're gonna go over this and vote yeah up or down, right? Are we gonna vote up or down on each one of those, or
I
are you
would
just
right
gonna
now.
go?
Well, I
Well,
think,
I don't,
we have 4 of them here, 4 of the 5, they're either retired or own their own business. I mean, to me, that's,
And my thing is, I don't think it necessarily has to be retired or whatever, just,
Yeah.
can you make the
yeah,
meetings?
exactly.
Pretty, if
Well,
they want their lunch hour to make the meetings, then so be it, I don't care, you know.
And
if they work.
again, if you're making a matrix, it doesn't have to be a high number assigned to that, but at least have that category as a checkbox. That's.
Which category are you talking about?
Me being present.
Well, that's
Attending
important.
That'll work. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard to sit here and put points, assign points to all this, and take up a lot of time.
I just think,
We've never had to do any of it, Joan.
I know,
It's always gone, city council said, here's your new candidate.
right,
So
so
this
y'all
is-
excuses?
Yeah,
Because
we're
not
we're
done
treading
this.
in water we've never even seen before, so, I mean,
So if we want to assign points to a matrix, then we're gonna have to work on it.
we'll workshop that end of it. We're not gonna do that today.
So, and if everybody is comfortable with this, interview the folks, make notes.
Is that a
Yeah.
recommendation? Is that a motion?
Does this call for a motion?
No.
Do you have the motion, they're here, we should just.
Well, let me see, where we at on action? Oh, man, I've
We
got.
probably have all done employee interviewing of some sort, and everybody's probably thought of questions that they want to ask, and then we'll fine tune the matrix.
Action item E was consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council regarding a planning and zoning board member is where we're at.
Right.
If you wanna make a motion that sounded kinda like, we'd like to table this,
Instead of.
have interviews and then table this
Okay.
recommendation. I don't know, I'm throwing stuff out there hoping something
I know.
sticks. I'd like to get the interviews. I'm gonna tell you right now, the desire of my heart is to get these people interviewed
I'm
today
for that.
because they're here and I
yeah,
appreciate
definitely.
that.
But I thought we were talking doing that and then coming up with this
At a workshop.
to workshop actual matrix or whatever you wanna call it.
The action item says, making a recommendation to city council. So if you wanna say, we uphold our recommendation till we finish the process.
but we don't have to make a motion right now anyway, right?
No.
No,
We can go ahead and interview them and do all that stuff and
Let's
then
interview 'em.
decide.
We're wasting a bunch of time talking. Let's
Okay.
interview.
We'll figure out what I'm gonna say Monday some kind of way before we close out today, but anyway, on,
One thing that you can do is keep good notes on each of the applicants, because I'm the one conduit that you can use, or any staff member, that you can send me in. I'll send you out what I believe a reasonable matrix is. You can send me what your scoring would have been on that for each applicant, and I can compile that, and then I can redistribute that. And then we have met the law for no walk-in quorum with the planning commission.
following what you just said about keeping good notes, does anybody need a clean sheet of paper to take notes on? The only thing we've got is the backside of the,
Or their application, that's,
That's
Here.
what I was thinking, application.
I was just gonna write on each one of them.
or everybody's good with what you have in hand. If it's all right with y'all, mine starts with Charles Taylor. Where do y'all start?
Mine as well.
That's fine.
And then if the remaining candidates, if you want to step into the conference room, that would be fine.
Or outside.
Or if you wanna go outside, that's fine
It's
too.
supposed to start raining here in about an hour, so hopefully we're through here. Well, we have to be in 30 minutes. Oh, question. We are down to 30 minutes.
Where there's nothing, there's no magic at 3 o'clock today.
School is out, I don't have to pick anybody up, we're good.
Okay, that's, okay. So what we're gonna do, Charles, you're gonna step to the podium and speak to us so that we can, hear you here and record it. And get up and tell us your name and all that good stuff. Verify that we're talking to Charles Ayler.
They were planning and and council and chairman. My name is Charles Ayler, and I live in Rockdale. Lived in Rockdale for 37 years, or 38, and I live at 1609 Brazos Avenue, and I just kind of, I know there was an opening here, and I just wanted to, be a candidate and help with the community, make Rockdale a better place.
Let me stop you right here and verify. You've lived at 1609 Brazos for how long?
38.
More than 6 months is the correct answer.
That is more than 6 months. It's in the 30. 2 years previous before that, I lived at and I don't even know if that was in the city limits or out of the city limits at Crump's Trailer Park. I was renting a spot there and lived in the trailer park, and it was back in '87. So that's when I first came to Rockdale, and moved in by the hospital over there in 1609 Brazos in about '91. And I've been a resident, there ever since.
You consider yourself retired?
No, well, I'm on unemployment. I've worked for Illuminate for 24 years in the mine, and I've on unemployment right now. I'm thinking about seeking a job and try to get one here in Rockdale, just a job close by, and hopefully I can get it straight days and without shift work. That's Illuminate. I had that, and that's one of the things I'm trying to get away from on that part. I'd rather at my age be a more day person. And
Charles, what do you see as a need for Rockdale?
well, we need to clean up. We're doing a good job. I can see the city has been improving the last 5 years. Especially in downtown area and everything. Like to see, more clean up with, like, there's cars parked that look like they ain't never moved in years in front of houses and stuff like that. Hopefully we can get better street improvements and stuff through the town, and just keep our town beautiful and neat and improve it stuff. And I'll try to help everything we can do on that if I get picked.
Does your schedule allow you to come at 1:30 in the afternoon to meet?
Presently it does. If I get a new job, if I have to on my lunch hour, I'll make it down, and I'll try to work that out with my new employer if I do and when I get hired.
I'll open the floor to questions for Charles.
Can we, would you mind if I went through the remaining of the matrix that didn't get covered?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Do you have government experience?
No.
Okay. Do you have planning experience?
Nothing on a. Well, like the Rockdale Youth Baseball League, we did some additions there. I was on the board then when we added the parking lot to the Rockdale. We purchased the land next to the bigger baseball field over there at that time. I was in on that committee.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And do you have development experience, or would that be the same thing?
Yeah, and I've been a mechanic all my life. I've, can plan out stuff and build stuff and real good, understand, mathematics real good and everything like that, and measurements and stuff. And I figured that'd be helpful, in zoning. Yeah.
And have you recently attended a city council or planning and zoning commission meeting?
No, I hadn't, but I've been watching it on YouTube. I've watched several of y'all's council meetings, planning and zoning meetings and stuff, and kind of the last 6 months I've been spent hours watching some of that just to see what's going on in the city.
And would you define your community involvement?
I would like to get more involved. This would be like the first thing to, with the city, but, getting a start. I've also, like a KC member, I'm involved with that. I'd like to get more involved with the city, just do things with the city and planning and improve our city.
And the last one is your time and willingness to be involved.
Yes, I'm willing to put all my time in it. Like I said, if I get a job, if I have to come on my lunch hour to this meeting and stuff, the future job I get, I'll address that and try to set it up that way. I'll give up my lunch, for the meeting during that meeting time, my lunch break.
I have one final question for you.
Okay.
You only check planning and zoning. Would you be interested in any other board?
I might, yeah, but
That's good enough.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. We're not gonna grill you on that one.
okay.
Anybody else have questions for Charles? Yes, Joan?
So it sounds like you're pretty happy with the way Rockdale is going right now.
Yes.
Improvements that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where would you like for us to go from here? And how do you see us getting there?
Well, the city is looking real nice and everything. Our residential, I like to see more improvements in the residential area. There's a lot of areas that's looking trashy, and I'd like to see the residential area get improved.
And how do you feel about historic preservation?
Oh, I love history and historical stuff. My great-great-grandfather was the first settler in the town of Westphalia, and we've been in Central Texas, since 1879. For my ancestors and stuff, and both of my grandpas are on some historical markers throughout the state of Texas. My grandpa on my dad's side, he's on the E.L. Weed one in Cameron, and there's two different historical markers in Westphalia that my great-great-grandpa was on, and in Westphalia. So I'll back all historical projects. I like to see more of it.
Questions? No further questions? You're free to watch how all this goes on, or you're free to go at this point, Charles.
Okay. Since there's other ones interviewing, I'm sorry, do I need to be out of the room though, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and, go on, and if, y'all can contact me I'm sure there's information on the application or something, contact me if there's any other information's needed.
Thank you.
And
Daniel
thank you very
Willie
much.
is out there. Would you call?
Can you call him in? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Turn your page over. That'll be, on the back side of Charles will be Daniel Willie.
And Commissioner Ratliff just reminded me, a historic preservation question is a good question to ask on this, since you have taken over those duties.
If you'll stand at the podium and talk to the microphone, tell us your name.
Right. My name is Daniel Willie. I've resided in Rockdale for the last 2 years. My wife and I currently own 2 businesses here in town. Jenny Gebhardt, attorney at law, and then we also own Tigertown Learning Center on Ackerman. My previous work experience, I worked for a company called Balton Bestrite out of Temple as their senior vice president of sales for 14 years. I also, after that, worked for Standards Home Health here in the Milam County area for 12 years. Most recently, I was employed by Sodexo USA. They have about 200,000 employees over 46 countries. I was their national sales development manager for the territory of Texas. And we specialized in food and beverage into spaces of more than 500 to 1,000 people. So Winstone is one of our customers that we set up here. I left that position in July of 22 to pursue more in the child care arena. We're currently looking at a location in Cameron as well as Thrall within the next year. So that's my work history. I grew up in Cameron.
Hang on just a second. State that again, what you just said.
Which one?
You're currently looking for
two new locations for child care centers. One in Cameron and one in
Not-
two more.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, one in Cameron, one possibly between Thrall and Taylor.
Okay, thank you.
So, right now, where was I going with that? So my experience with different city governments, I served on the Cameron City Council from 2017 to 2019. I served on the Cameron School Board from 2015 to 2017. I also served on the Cameron Economic Development Corp for 2 years during my time on the city council. During my time on the city council, I also sat on a subcommittee to completely redo their planning and zoning handbook. It was very antiquated, probably over the last 30 years, had not been updated very much at all. We focus mostly on signage, building facades, fencing, streets, new business, in that area was where they were really lacking. We also dove some into residential, such what you guys were talking about earlier, parking on unimproved areas, having boats in your yards, having travel trailers in your yards, things like that. But mostly it was focused on the business development of Cameron. Right now, currently in Rockdale, I sit on the board of directors for the Mark Center. I also sit on the board of directors with Charles Miles on the Rockdale Youth Football and Cheer Board. So I think I mentioned I lived here 2 years. So I think just my interest in this is I don't think we've seen a time, I know in my presence here, that you're going to see the growth you're going to have in this area. And to me, planning and zoning is probably one of the most important areas because you're going to get into a time where if you don't tell people how you want it built, how you expect it to build, it's just going to go any way they want it. And so that was a big thing. Cameron did kind of get ahead of the curve. I think there was a lot more they could put into it, but at least they got to a point where they agreed what should be expected of a business, what should be expected of a new subdivision that was coming into town. I don't think they're going to see near the growth at this point that Rockdale will see within the next probably 18 to 24 months. But it's coming this way. So that was my interest in this because, again, I think it's hugely important, not only to protect our current businesses of what we have, but to protect our housing, to protect the city as a whole. So one of the biggest things Cameron really went into was your signage and your facades on these buildings and what they should look like, what you expect, and just how to manage that growth. So that's my experience, city government-wise and zoning and planning-wise.
And we've also been handed the historic, what is it?
Oh, the preservation
Yep.
board is also part of the P&Z. So how do you feel about historic preservation?
So I think it's very important to a community, especially some of these communities. I've seen so much growth in your areas of your, say, Kerrville, Hallettsville. These places have these real nice downtown areas that are attracting people. So always very important. I keep watching Calvert. Calvert's my place that I think is going to be the next big jump in the world. You have a great traffic through on Highway 6 from Dallas to College Station. You have some neat little areas there. So I think keeping your kind of existence as a small town is very important. My sister owns a neat little restaurant in Cameron. It's called the Central Avenue Bistro. And they worked extremely hard to get their historic marker put up because it was very important. You know, you'd be surprised of how many people come through just to take their picture with the marker, to have lunch or have dinner, because they're traveling to see those things.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Tourism is a huge factor in Texas.
Absolutely.
While serving your time in Cameron, did you ever meet a guy with the last name of Gandy?
That doesn't sound familiar, man. I know most people in Cameron.
Okay. He's actually from Buckholz.
That's not Cameron, though. He may not have came that far down, you know.
While that was a good answer, it was a 5-point deduct.
Well, he really answered all the questions that y'all had.
I have another one. Which color scheme do you like best? Maroon and gray or blue and gold?
Yeah, I think it was you, Mr. Barczyk, is we cooked about 1,300 hamburgers one night. Said,
Yeah, I know.
said, I think your quote was, he can wear that blue shirt, but we still know what he's like on the inside. I think that's pretty much what you said.
Yeah. No, I can vouch for Daniel. He does bring a lot to the community.
Well, we try.
He's
I
heavily
don't know,
involved.
he's never bought me lunch.
Well, and my philosophy is, and how I got involved in politics in Cameron was, and this is not the best answer you'll hear, but I said, if I'm going to live here, I better at least try to help the process along a little bit. So it is important. And if you're not involved, don't complain about it.
Exactly.
That's my biggest deal. I had more people come up to me at city council meetings and stuff. I love Facebook. They want to complain about it on Facebook. And I would simply write you a message. Next meeting is at 5:30 on Tuesday. Love to see you. Because that's the biggest deal. If you're not going to complain about it, if you are going to complain about it, try to do something about it.
It's easily to complain, but not
Yes.
produce.
So
And
what
it
do you
just-
see as Rockdale's, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, I'm good.
What do you see as Rockdale's priorities? You've talked about some terms of what we need to plan, but what do you see us being, and where do you see us getting there? How do you see us getting there?
I think so much, and it's a beautiful process has been spent toward the downtown. The downtown area is just changing tremendously almost every day.
Hang on, don't make too many comments. There's a guy here to get a big head.
Hey, no, it's really nice. I think where you're really going to have to focus and put in some guidelines and some things are your areas coming into town. Because, I look at a town and unfortunately that first half mile to a mile kind of decides if I want to stop or not. If you're riding in and everything is pretty rough looking, thrown around, disheveled, I'm probably going to drive through the next town. So I think right now that's your key areas. It is your entrances into town. What people see when they first come into town, when they decide if they want to stop or not. I think, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked over your code, but it seems, I was at a city council meeting and they really addressed, even some things as simple as the fencing. What is your fence going to look like around your property? Cameron made some mistakes to me. They let some things go. One very nice person who lives in Cameron. I like the home. They let him build a house just out of a fence just out of 4x8 R panel. And it's right in the middle of town. And that's the first thing you see. Nice people. I'm just not sure that's the first look you want to see. So I think it's important to look at what you're going to stop for. I will tell you, I think Brad Caffey and his group do a really good job. They got a clean place, a nice place. You want to stop at Brad's place. But I think that coming in. Now, not any political sides or how it all happened. Cleaning up that place out there was a tremendous plus to me for the town. Because no matter if you got to the heart of it and it was beautiful, that's the first thing you saw. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to look at those areas. I think it's going to be a tremendous, I'm very fortunate. We're about half a mile from the new housing development. I drive out there every couple of days just to look at it. I'm still surprised because that's a big plus for a city, especially one if you're going from 5,000 people to, an extra 600 homes. That's a lot of homes. And that's only going to be the start. I mean, I drive around a lot just to look. You get out toward Thrall, now Thorndale, you're seeing bigger homes. You're going to see more businesses. I don't know if we become Hutto, but, you become a bigger city.
Taylor anyway.
Something. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other direct question for him at this time, would you send in Ernest Alderete?
He's not here.
No, he's not here.
Okay,
It's gonna be,
it's not present. Would you send in Shannon Carnegie?
Yes. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Williams?
yes.
Ernest wasn't able to attend today, so he did the questionnaire over the phone with me, just so you don't hold it against him.
That's fine. Do you have anything you want to say on his behalf?
I don't know him. Just,
That's the one we haven't answered, correct?
yeah,
Okay.
he was the lawyer.
Oh, yay.
All right, we'll start off by asking your name.
Shannon Cornegie.
All right, now you can tell us where you live and how long you've lived there and anything you want us to know.
So my husband and I live at 1537 North Highway 77 here in Rockdale. And we've lived here almost 9 years. I'm a realtor, but mostly I own a business here in Rockdale with my mom, a retail shop on Main, but we are fixing to move it to where our storage units are on 79 and 77. We've just recently remodeled that building, and I'm working with Ben to add a plant nursery to that. What else?
So she's added a new business to town.
Yes, we're in the process of adding a new business to town in addition to what we have now.
Are y'all gonna be open Friday?
Yes. I mean, at the new business, yes.
Good.
We're closed for the year, or our last day at the shop. For 2023. Our last day at the Main Street location was the 30th. So we will be in the process of moving.
Where do I go to rescue my vest?
What?
I had oh, no, never mind.
You left a vest at our shop?
Next door.
Next door.
Yeah.
Next door.
Oh,
I-
that's her.
Yeah. So y'all are leaving?
We're
downtown?
leaving downtown. We're still gonna be in the city limits. Right past the 77 bridge. Billy and I built, storage units. We worked with the city very closely on that. Barbara was very helpful. We've added boat and RV storage, but Ben and I have a few things. He's helping me with a few more things to get those open. And then in the building
Looks
that
good out there, by the way.
Thank you. We've remodeled the building, and so that's where we're gonna move the shop, and there's a carport out there where we'll have plants, trees, shrubs, flowers, vegetables, seeds, gardening items, yard art, gardening tools, all kinds of different. My mom's the plant professional, so that's why we're doing that.
Okay, what needs do you see of the city of Rockdale?
First and foremost would be the cleanup. I think Ben needs an additional person to help him with code enforcement. I think that some of the code enforcement rules need to be stricter and the fines to be heftier to make people more uncomfortable to pay attention to he and the city manager as well as city council. I think when new people come through our town, for those of us that are somewhat new to Rockdale, it's somewhat embarrassing. And people are like, why should we come here? So there needs to be more things to do. The fair is great, but something in addition to that would be wonderful for people coming in and out of town. I understand Jim is now doing a car count, which could be very, very, very helpful. The bookshop has done very well for Rockdale. I think our plant nursery and us moving our shop will be really good for Rockdale, but most importantly, the cleanup and stricter code enforcement rules and maybe higher fines to make them uncomfortable. That's what Barbara says, and I absolutely agree.
You have your matrix?
Yep.
Go ahead, somebody
Have
else.
you worked on the city committee before?
So I was on RDA when we first moved here, and worked with Kara and Michelle, and I am currently on the Rockdale Housing Authority Board, which John King appointed me to that, and it's been almost 2 years, I believe, and I'm now the vice president and helping. The board is in the process of planning and developing additional housing for Rockdale. We've recently purchased 4 acres, a little over 4 acres, and moving all those old trailers out at the end of San Gabriel, I believe it is. And that's where we're looking at. So we're in the process of bringing that together.
That'd be an extension of the Rockdale housing.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, that was before.
Well, there would be a
city
different
council.
board. There would be a different board. Our current board has discussed having Mario run it as well as his assistant Amy, but then there's also talk that we may, if we're gonna have a different board, then we may have a different director and office manager.
Barbara?
The one that I'm seeing that didn't get answered is historic preservation. If you wanted to,
Sure. How do you feel about historic preservation?
I love history.
I'm sorry.
I love history. It's very interesting to me. I'm interested in history here in Rockdale, especially on the east side by the ACOG Center and all that's gone on over there and what can be done to make it more presentable like the rest of Rockdale. But I think it's an important part of Rockdale.
I have one question for you. Are you available at 1:30 to 3 o'clock on Tuesdays?
Yes, sir, I am.
One last question.
Every Tuesday, or every meeting date, I'm available.
You were talking about things that are good for Rockdale. You think Charles Miles is good for Rockdale?
I do. He's been here quite some time. He's influential on the east side, and the east side is very special to my heart, very. And what I mean by east side is across the tracks, but I don't like to refer to it as across the tracks. But I'm very passionate about the east side. I'm very passionate about cleaning up that side of town and getting those lots surveyed and platted as they should be, so that
Easy,
people
sister, easy.
people in the future can buy and sell on that side of town, just like on every other side of town in Rockdale. That's the only thing that I'll crowd Leslie about, is the east side.
Thanks,
Any
Shane.
other questions? We thank you for your time. We thank you for your application. Are you interested in any other boards in the city of Rockdale?
Not at all. I've wanted to be on this board for 2 years, and Jason Barcheck can attest to that.
All right, send in Braden Wallace, would you please? Thank you.
Mal.
thank you.
Mr. Wallace, the floor is yours.
Alrighty, well, I'm Braden Wallace, lifelong resident of Rockdale for 24 years. Currently serving as the Vice President of the Rockdale Volunteer Fire Department, as well as serving on the Building Standards Commission. I own 7 Bar Barbecue here in town. May not be one of the most experienced candidates due to my age, but I'm always willing to learn and always willing to take a step out there and put myself outside of my comfort zone to make Rockdale a better place.
What do you see as priorities for our planning and zoning commission?
So we have a lot of things that are going to be shaping up over the next few years. We got to have a good board that is going to be able to help pretty much shape how Rockdale is going to grow. With everything going out there at SLR, we're going to have a lot of overflow into Rockdale. So I think we need to have a pretty solid goal in mind. That's something that we'd have to sit down as a board and discuss on what our priorities would be and what our citizens want. Yeah.
What would yours be?
Mine would probably be we need to have more housing for the people that are coming over to work and to live over at SLR, as well as building up our own city as well as we continue to grow. So I would probably focus on housing as well as entertainment to get people to stay and help grow Rockdale.
Do you have any particular feelings about historical properties or historic preservation?
As a 5th generation Rockdale resident, I'm a huge history buff, and I love pretty much anything old. anything historic, preserving historic downtown Rockdale, as well as some of the other residential buildings, like over on Bell Street, San Gabriel, Rice Street, all those old buildings and houses. We absolutely 100% need to preserve those, because if we continue to just look at modern, look at something flashy, look at something new, we're going to lose our identity as Rockdale. We got to have something that we can show our grandchildren and great-grandchildren what Rockdale was like.
Barbara, Matrix?
Okay, do you have government experience?
Having governing experience, I don't know how exactly we define that. I've served as the vice president of the Rockdale Volunteer Fire Department, so I have, as well as the Building Standards Commission, as well as Rockdale Fair Association as a junior member in high school. So I have meeting experience as well as governing a organization.
Okay. Do you have development experience?
Development experience, not on a grand scale. However, I do understand codes.
You just started your business, so you did that development.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You
as
might
well.
Talk to them about that.
So I went through the process of starting our business, going through that whole process of getting everything from the initial permit to start construction on temporary carports that we have out there, as well as getting permits through the city to actually open up a mobile food unit, and then going through the process with the health department as well, making sure we're following everything, as well as following what the city allows us to do.
Okay. And then have you recently attended a city or planning and zoning commission meeting?
Unfortunately, I have not attended many city council meetings because they fall on the same night at the same time as our fire department meetings. And this is the first planning and zoning commission meeting I've been to.
Okay, and do you have the time and willingness to be involved?
Absolutely. I have put my name in the hat for several different boards and commissions, one of them being planning and zoning, building standards, the electrical board, the MDD, currently serving on the fire department, as well as past member of the Rockdale Fair Board.
That's it, sir.
You mentioned you started up a business. How did the process go?
It was a lot of back and forth with the city. Once we got our initial mobile food unit permit, we then had to go to the city and fill out a permit application in order to actually open it up within the confines of the city. It was a pretty lengthy process, going back and forth with Barbara quite a bit on what we can do, what we can't do, what the code says we have to have versus what health department says we have to have, and them not always lining up. Eventually we got it all worked out, and ended up working out for us. It was pretty lengthy.
Yeah, I had 3 questions. One was availability and any other board if you want to be on any other board, and then that processing. Does anybody have any questions for Braden?
I just got one. Braden, I know you're an A&M graduate.
Uh-oh.
What is your degree in?
I went to A&M. I did not graduate.
Okay.
What did you study?
I studied, I went to Blinn for 2 years where I studied ag business, and then I transferred over for ag communications.
Just curious, you're currently open 2 days a week, your business, right?
Yes, sir, as of right now.
Is it, you plan on making it longer, more days a week, or what?
Well, so being that I'd have mainly family helping me out and they all have extra jobs, we are looking at possibly opening up a few extra days. If we did, it'd probably be like a Wednesday, Thursday situation. But I got to have help.
Yeah, I understand. I was just curious.
Any other questions for Braden? Okay, that completes your interview with us, sir.
All righty.
Thank you,
y'all.
Brady.
Thank you.
Okay, the interviewing portion is now, over with. So we'll go back to our agenda. Regarding taking necessary action, we are going to say that we have interviewed candidates, we've developed a matrix, and we hope to work it out at our next workshop. Is that a fair enough assessment?
I can also create a matrix, put the scoring that I believe would make sense. I will send it out to you. Then first off, tell me if you think the scoring makes sense. And then if you want to fill in what each of the people did, I can compile those and then send those back out and let you know who is coming out on top.
That'd be
Discussion on what she just said.
great. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Also, in all fairness, this, Ernest Jim,
Yes.
the one who wasn't able, you said you had some communication with him? How are we gonna be able to get that?
It's in our packet.
It's in your packet.
It's just,
The whole,
There's
the
two
whole
pages,
communication was?
yeah, it's just like 4 questions that he answered.
I can send him, or.
The remainder.
That's
Yeah.
the rest of it.
Yeah.
We
that'd
can
be great.
compare all, okay, same way.
So let me ask you another question. Are you gonna compile the candidates as a completed matrix? Will you attach that to their application? That's gonna be up to us?
It'll be up to you to do individually and then send back to me.
I think that's good. I mean, that'd give us, let us
What
fill it in as we feel, you know.
you just say? I didn't hear. What you
Oh.
just- Come on, Charles.
I will give you a blank matrix, and if you will make sure that the scoring makes sense, then we can use that matrix and then apply that to everybody that you've interviewed. And then I can compile those again.
All right, action item F, consider and take any necessary action on adopting a mission statement for the Historic Preservation Board.
You may want to consider that after your workshop, hold that and then come back after your workshop to do that.
Yeah.
Workshop. Conduct a workshop regarding the Historic Preservation Board's mission statement. So we've been appointed, us meaning commissioners, to the Historic Preservation Board. And I asked the question, what is it? So we kind of need to craft a mission statement. What is the Historic Board and what its goals? All I want is a mission statement today. We'll grow this thing as we go along. But as I understand it, we don't have a direct mission statement. Is that true?
That would be correct.
Was there ever a board for this, a committee or anything before this prior to us being handed this?
Not in the city of Rockdale. We created it really in response to the 1895. It's done in communities all over. In fact, Georgetown had their first historic preservation, I think, in 1976. And they have now become one of the top downtowns in the country because of what they did. So it's a good thing to do to start to protect your own assets. As one
Do
of
we
our-
have any other cities or boards,
Why,
mission statements from any other towns around us, or?
I think first and foremost, we should start it with to protect and preserve the city's historic resources. I think that's
Yep, that
key right there.
encapsulates it.
And we could add to that, like, for the purpose of, promoting education, citizens' pride.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Morning, Doug.
It's afternoon, sir.
And especially economically benefit
I was looking
the
at
city.
that beard on
To
Doug.
especially economically benefit the city.
So let's start with the opening statement that you just made. Let's hear that back.
Okay, to protect and preserve the city's historic resources for the purpose of, to promote education, which is critical. Aiden hit it, I believe, on the nail head when he said, we need to teach our children about our heritage. And, so education promotes citizens' pride, economic development is huge, because I assure you, once a preservation program goes to effect, there's a real good chance tourists are gonna start coming. That's part of economic development.
Barbara, have you caught any of that?
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need some help with it. I've got to protect and preserve the city's historic resources in order to economically benefit the city and to promote
Education.
and educate the public on the value of historic preservation.
I don't even think you have to say, just, I'd say promote education,
Okay, to promote education.
frankly. But I also think that it's important, I've written a lot of mission statements for this sort of thing, but I think it's important for us to say in there something about, well, striving to balance the needs of the citizens and ensuring the survival of our heritage, which also addresses a lot what Braden was saying. There's always a conflict with what maybe the citizens need or want, not always, but there can be, and what preservation involves. You know, we've talked about a historic district, forming a historic district, but I think you need to start.
Is that something that goes from this, through this
Can.
committee?
I see that.
Because I thought we were already working on something like that, the historic
District.
downtown district or something. I thought there was already
We have signs that say that it's the downtown historic district, but we don't really have anything.
and there's not a board or,
The only thing that's even noted as history is the depot.
They're individual markers that people may
Yeah.
have, like the 1895 has gotten one now
Yeah.
from the city. We've got some that are
you got the old Mac Voice,
Yeah.
building.
We've got that, we have some of those, but in terms of a city-led effort, this is the first time.
Hang on
And
just a
Joan,
second.
what does it take?
Jim,
Oh,
have you had any interfacing with historic boards, preservation boards?
I don't have any.
I'm just resourcing right now.
I have, and it's part of planning, I've done it in multiple communities, starting in really Temple, Texas, so that's going back to the 1990s, so from the 1990s forward, I've done it.
Okay, so, we're not in a vacuum here.
No,
We have
we're
some
not in a
resource.
vacuum.
Oh, yeah.
And we've also, in terms of like with what Joan is bringing to the table, you're with Milam County, aren't you? So we've got some good historical resources.
I wondered how all that was just coming out like, wow,
Yes.
Joni, oh.
Well, we all know she's passionate about it, so
I
that.
have no problem with it. I'm actually quite impressed.
Very involved with marker development.
Yeah.
Very.
Well, in y'all's place, that's,
Working on the historical marker program.
so what does it take to qualify a building or property? Does it even have to be a building?
It typically has to be 50 years and older is what the normal, and then there are criteria through the state. When we adopted the ordinance, we put what needed to happen, because there are certain things that we're gonna want, that are thresholds that we're gonna wanna meet, and we had to have a historic preservation board. And I thought particularly, given what the skills are that you have on this board, that the planning commission be a good starting point.
So really, how far do we
Subject
need to
line.
go today? We just need a mission statement according to the
Yep.
agenda. And then we can do a workshop later to figure out criteria for
Yep.
historic buildings.
So we
And
essentially,
the other question, we are gonna put it up for, appointment for, do I stay as the commissioner chair
Yes.
and the historic board chair, or do we? Okay,
You ain't got nothing else to do.
I'm just trying to figure this all out, y'all. Somebody opened the door, I'm trying to figure out what walked in, you know. So, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that together and get that out to you for the mission statement.
But the marker can be a subject marker, like the author that has the marker at the library.
Oh, yeah, that's from here, or was
Yeah,
raised
what's
here.
his name?
Don't we have, Harry, but don't Bill Pickett have a historical marker here?
There is that
Taylor-
sign in front of the MDT office.
Taylor captured Pickett and ran with it, even though he's from Rockdale. Shame on us, we let that slide by, but we can regain some territory on that with our historic board. Charles, what is that little rock house down there, at the end of MLK?
Ice House?
No, at the,
No.
all the way down at the end of MLK, yeah.
Yeah, on that corner.
Yeah, Lisa.
Turn it to a salon.
She uses it for like when her relatives come and.
Yeah, but it has some historic value is where I'm going with some of that. I mean, we're thinking big stuff, but we have some little stuff that we can kind of,
And little stuff is important.
It is, and
Yeah.
I think it's the oldest building in that neighborhood, that part of town.
and ACOG Center probably falls in there somewhere too, y'all. But anyway, we'll get into that when we start doing some bigger workshops. I just want everybody to smell the coffee. So we've developed a mission statement, so that concludes F also. Are y'all happy with that, or did y'all want to add to that? Let me open the floor back up. You've heard what Joan presented. Do you want to add, modify, run with it?
I think she did an awesome job.
I don't think so.
Yes, you would. I'm glad
Charles,
you.
I'd like to see you a little more educated on your historical landmarks.
What's using his bag?
Wow. So with that, I'm gonna say we concluded workshop A and action item F. Wow. Conduct a workshop regarding, yeah, we already did this too, didn't, a development priority matrix.
This is a gym item.
I was gonna,
Howdy, y'all.
hey,
So, we got the, yeah, I didn't go to A&M.
we'll get you learned up.
So we get these emails every morning from TML. They kind of scan through, different news stories that relate to city stuff. And one that came across the wire a couple weeks ago was Liberty Hill down the road adopted this development matrix. And Michelle at the office called Liberty Hill, and they were kind enough to share this with us, which y'all have in front of you. And kind of the idea was, do we want to do something similar? And I know, it's getting kind of late in the day, and obviously we're hungry. That when you kind of look at this and break it down, there's just 5 or 6 different questions, and we can talk, go over this later or bring something back to you. But basically, is it inside the city limits, or is there willingness for the property to be annexed? Is it located in a particular district or area like TERS number 2, downtown, something like that? Is it located near utilities, water, sewer, etc.? The type of use, is it going to be residential, industrial, commercial, mixed use, or whatever? Is the developer willing to deliver other amenities? So like, are they going to build parks or whatever? And then lastly, whether or not the developer has requested incentives out of either the city or the MDD.
So in terms of supporting development, do we want to have, this is really what we want to go after, this is good but not as good, this is kind of mediocre, and this is like really, would just be considered that we're extending sprawl. So he's provided to you what Liberty Hill has done, which is a really good jumping off point, and if this is something that you want to consider, let us know and we'll Rockdale it up and bring it back to you.
So regarding the summary, it's almost a mission statement or a guidepost,
Right.
so it helps to have that.
And then flip, when you flip the page and you look at the colored parts and it tells you,
It's color
you know,
coded.
color coded, thank you.
Yep.
It tells you going from priority, preferred, neutral to low priority. If somebody were to come in on the outskirts of town and they want us to extend a lot of water and sewer to them, is that something that we want to do? And since y'all are going to be the arbiters of a lot of development coming in, Jim saw this and said, let's get this in front of the planning commission. I think this is a really good idea for us to look at.
Who suggested that? That's what I thought. Okay. So recommendation.
Our recommendation to you is that we.
Rockdale
that we
it up.
start- Yeah, we Rockdale it up.
The reason I'm interested in this is because my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live right on the outskirts of Cedar Park, Leander in there, and they are in a protected valley that the developers don't recognize as a protected valley, and so if they would have had something like this in their planning where they could say this is a high priority or, you know, and that I like it. It's a game plan. Anything that helps me out, I like it.
And we have something, it's not quite like this, but it's sort of similar in the incentive policy that the city and the MDD have, where we say this is kind of what we want. This at this level, this is what we'll incentivize. And I was trying to talk Shanna's ear off about how can we marry these two things up, but that's...
She's already married, sir. So my question is this for our eyes only, or is this something we need to share with city council and bounce it off of them, or what's standard protocol here now?
Yeah, this absolutely. If you wanted to talk with them about it at Monday night's meeting and tell them that this is something that we're looking at, I think they'd be very appreciative.
And
But I do want to see it Rockdaled up,
Yeah.
as you said. I really would like to see it.
So should I hold till we have a Rockdale version of this, or?
Or you could tell them we're going to try
We're
to...
working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, that's what I.
Just mention it.
Yeah, put me down to fly it past them.
Okay.
CYA program, kids.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
I
Jim.
mean, we can do this on our own virtue as far as planning and zoning, but wouldn't it be better to at least let them know that,
We're working on something.
that we're working on something?
Yeah.
It's a feather in our hat that we did something
Yeah.
Without asking.
without asking,
Yeah.
without being forced by.
Without being forced to, yeah.
That's good, but now I've done flipped through my pages again and don't have a clue. I thought that concluded everything.
The last one is conduct a workshop regarding crosswalks and speed study along TxDOT rights of way.
I know who brought this up. So Doug Williams was concerned when a pedestrian got killed at Walmart.
Which one?
Doug Williams, the Canadian one here lately.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Williams was concerned when he turned on the TV and was flipping through the channels, and on a channel I don't normally watch, I watched a newscast of Rockdale, Texas, having crosswalks that are unusable. And the news crew was going on and on how there was a crosswalk that nobody could use, there's no lights there to protect them. And I'm going, holy cow, turn the camera 90 degrees, there's two stoplights with push buttons right there at the red lights that the people can cross on. But the news didn't do that. They went on and on about how we have dangerous crosswalks. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks later, we have a high-speed collision resulting in a death at a crosswalk where the Canadian got killed at Walmart. So that's why I was gonna say we need to have a little bit of a talk about crosswalks. Do we need yellow flashing lights pointing to the crosswalks? What are y'all's feelings about crosswalks? I know we've started talking about reducing the speed limit on the west side of town. This may be the
But where
time
are
to
we
start
on
beating
that?
a drum.
But TxDOT said they wouldn't do that, right?
No, TxDOT is conducting the study. What I haven't seen are any of those, they look like
Those.
hoses that go across the road. I have not seen those, and that's when you really know that they're checking that. But typically, when there's been a fatality, they are much more willing to act. So I will call our area engineer and ensure that he is aware, which I'm assuming that they come out for some of those, or that they get notified of that.
Probably through DPS, but
Okay.
that's.
That we've had fatalities, and that's where it's high speed coming into town.
If you're.
Would you step to the podium, please?
All right. So if you need traffic count data, that placer data set that we have counts that. So if you need that, we can get that to you. But are you talking about crosswalks here, or are you talking about safety?
Both.
Both.
Well, it's coincidental that where the person got killed on the west side of town was a crosswalk going to the motel.
I don't think there's a crosswalk
There's
there.
not a crosswalk.
They were just walking.
Yeah, because, I mean, me personally, I've driven that way at night and kind of in front of Walmart. It is very dark. And if someone's wearing dark clothes, you do not see them.
I almost hit somebody the other day standing in the turn lane in that dark area, same area.
Right, so maybe some lights?
Well, we need a crosswalk.
Well, we've been asking.
But-
you know,
I don't know. That's why we're workshopping right here. We're throwing ideas out because we have a problem.
Well, we also asked with the school being there at the intermediate, we've been asking for years, cause beginning of school year is super dangerous. So many wrecks, you know, or almost wrecks, skid marks, vehicles on the side of me, you know. So we've been asking for light, something to help with that. You know, you got the nursing home over there, the place over there, and then the speed limit is just too high coming into town. You know, we've been asking about that too. So it was like, what it's gonna take somebody to die, you know, and look what's going on.
And I'm gonna tell you, I took the initiative and called TxDOT and got a hold of the director for our area for lowering the speed limit, everything we've been talking about. And I don't know what they're doing with us as far as you're saying, because with the land issue, with not being able to put any more openings, that's through a different division of TxDOT. But to lower the speed limits, the city is gonna have to pay for that, for the study. And they were already throwing it back on us as that we're not maintaining our speed limits with our law enforcement.
But we made an official request as a city through the city council to TxDOT. There should be an official response back.
And have you gotten it?
No. Other than
This
the
lady
area
was
engineer,
extremely-
James Kramer,
And I would
said
have to,
that they're in the process of doing it. But this should not be an oh, by the way, comment that's made. These are officially through the city to official TxDOT channels. Let me see about that.
On the Planning and Zoning Commission, we request a resend on that with the update that we've had 2 fatalities in the same area
Yep.
that we're concerned about.
Okay, I got it.
and referring to the crosswalks and the lights and the lighting, that's all TxDOT property. We have no control over it.
Well,
So that's what
You know, that's this whole development through town. Yes, everybody thinks the city council and stuff had a lot to do with it. No. It's TxDOT.
shame on me, but are there any lights at the turn-ins at Walmart, street lighting?
No.
I'm sitting here going, you know what, I think those are,
You're getting a lot of lighting from the car wash now.
Yeah, I would say in between like the go-kart wash area is
Yeah.
lighting over there, but on this side, there's no lighting where you turn it in right there.
oh, you wanna talk about lighting, that new business that opened up, woo, they light up the highway, man, they got the lights.
Convenience store?
That convenience store, you come through there at night, it's brightness in Rockdale.
But I will check with TxDOT and ask if they want to do a presentation here, but yet, TxDOT has, in my experience, they have never requested a community to conduct their own or pay for their own speed study.
That's exactly what she
So,
told me.
so how do we make a request for a sign that says beware of pedestrians and crosswalks? Who does that?
Again, it's all text out right of way, so it's all,
So I would love to do that much, get a post up where that news reporter can come back and say, look what Rockdale did. At least we
But
put
you
a
can
sign
have
up.
all the crosswalks you want, and if you can't see the crosswalk or the
Yeah, you gotta have
signage,
lighting.
what good, you know?
And they came out and talked to us before, didn't they, about it?
yeah.
We had to come out, yeah.
I don't know if we are legally able to go out there and paint a crosswalk.
No, not across the text
Not
dot.
a highway, yeah.
I'm just sitting
But
here
we
going,
have-
oh, there's a yellow flag there
we have a good
because, you know,
partnership
we
with
have a
them.
motel there and that's a, I guess,
Well, the,
Yeah.
do we planning and zoning, do we identify problem areas where we're having deaths or I mean,
Absolutely.
what is our,
Yeah,
mission.
absolutely. And so let me get back with TxDOT and let them know officially, again, city to city, that, or city to TxDOT to agency, that we need a response back and like, and if you're willing to share who spoke with you, or if it's just that off the record we heard that, but that, I have never seen TxDOT do that. That would be very alarming if they did that.
yeah,
Can
she,
you not put a traffic light there that stops
We-
it coming?
again,
It's
TxDOT.
TxDOT.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Can you
we-
request that?
see,
We requested at the school.
we are facing the same issue right now that Austin did back about 1950, and they finally put that upper deck up because everybody's using the highway as Main Street.
So in
And there's a
Georgetown-
confusion there, but we have 3 TxDOT thoroughfares in our city, 908, 487, 79.
So in
And we have,
Georgetown-
we use them for streets, but they're controlled by TxDOT. But you'll have to go to the podium to ask questions so we can pick you up on them.
I'm not asking a question, but I just wanna make a comment. In Georgetown,
You'll have to go to the podium.
Count them steps.
all this live.
Okay. In Georgetown, well, so when my sister and I grew up there, the population was like 14,000. Now it's close to 100,000. So if you're familiar with Georgetown, I-35 and 29, and you cross 35 going west, and Wolf Ranch is right there. So if you cross 35 and keep going, they put a traffic light there for death-related accidents. And it goes both directions and then into Wolf Ranch, or it did go into Wolf Ranch before they cut another road to go to Academy, I believe it is. So a 3-way stoplight was very beneficial in the growing city.
Yeah, it'll
Well,
help slow
And
down.
also, even at the school, there would still be, you could still do it as a 3-way. Doesn't always have to be 4-way or 2-way. You can do 3-way, because I've seen it.
They told us they do their study, and depending on the amount of traffic in that area, determines if they'll put a light or something like that, or tragedies or whatever.
Yeah, well, with growing,
Listen, this is painting a big target on Doug Williams's back, and that's part of the job here. But I see it as a safety concern for our citizens. Am I gonna like it if they put a red light up at Walmart? Probably not, but I see it as a safety issue. At very minimum, if I don't get anything else out at TxDOT, if I could get lighted entrances to Walmart and yellow blinking lights there, warning that people are stopping to turn into Walmart. If I can do that as a minimum, I've slowed speed down a little bit before they crest the hill to a school zone. Would I rather have yellow blinking lights at the school zone? They have them during school hours, but I mean, there really needs to be, when the people are coming down 79 to get to the city limits, there needs to be the little guy out there that goes, air-powered guy that goes, school zone, school zone. However, I can knock down deaths related to something we can control. I want something to happen.
But we don't have control over it.
If we
Reach out to them, yeah.
if we don't send letters to TxDOT, if we sit here and pretend like we don't know what's happening, it's shame on us.
So we have a good relationship with TxDOT, so let me reach back out to them.
I'm not trying to get adversarial
No,
with
I know, and
TxDOT.
but they have you have to meet what they call warrants. You have to meet certain counts, but typically a death is one of those triggers. Unfortunately, that is the way that it works. Let me reach back out to them and see where they are on the study, if we can get some street lights up there, and then also signalization.
And the speed limit.
I'm not trying to steer them. I would tell them, hey, I would like to have your engineers come out here and consider what's going on, how we can not have 2 deaths in 1 year.
Okay. Yeah, in just a matter of
2
months.
deaths in 1 month.
Yeah. So, any other questions regarding crosswalks that you would like to talk about? By the official city clock, it's 3:29 and this meeting is adjourned.
We need to keep up with this.